Check it out, y'all. This is one of our Patreon patrons. Oh. Side. Woo! What do you want from me? Who do you think you are? All right, y'all. Go to YouTube, search Red Rum Society, How I Cope. There's a bunch of other tunes. Welcome back, Patreon. This is attempt number 3 or 4 at making this video. So what you're listening to right there is Zach Cohen, one of our Patreon patrons here. He didn't send me his music. He didn't say, listen to this. He didn't say, hey, I used to be a rock star with a number 22 Billboard charting hit and was all out in LA. He just listened. And I ended up finding out about all of this just by doing a little research, which I do. I do sometimes do research on you guys. So you guys will say something and it'll pique my interest. And then I'll go look at your YouTube. I'll go look at your Instagram. Maybe look at your Facebook and see, well, who are you? Who do you think you are? Oh, Zach, who are you talking about? All the people that cared about you, who do you think they are? Or who do they think they are? They're people that cared about you. I'm glad you're doing better now, bro. I'm glad you're doing better. But wow, what a beautiful number. I love that song. Yeah, you never know who's watching. You never know who's around you. You never know. That doesn't mean that you have to be on point 24/7. As a matter of fact, we just need to be real. And sometimes it's hard to be real. It's been hard for me to be real with you guys about what happened the last few weeks. Because I want to tell you what happened, but at the same time, I want to respect the privacy and the personalities. And I also don't want to air my dirty laundry. I don't want to do that on Facebook. I don't want to do it on Instagram. I don't want to do it on YouTube. But sometimes here on Patreon, well, when I just start talking like I am now, and I'm not planning on editing anything, a lot comes out. And I don't want that to be something I regret. So it's hard. It's hard for me to figure out that line on this platform. Because one of the things that you pay for when you come here is me giving you the actual chain of events, the story, the behind the scenes, right? Because let's be real, there's more harmonica content on YouTube than there is on Patreon, which for most harmonica YouTubers, it's the opposite. They put a little bit on YouTube and then over on their Patreon or their website or whatever, they're behind the paywall right there. That's where the long videos are. And so that's what YouTube is really like, a commercial. And whereas I have the opposite thing, I have YouTube is where everything is for absolutely free. And then over here, I ask you for whatever, $1, $5, whatever. And I just say, hey, look, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what it's like. This is what happens when you get a flat tire in Florida. And this is what happens when your drummer dies on the road. So we were on tour. And it was supposed to be a month-long tour. We were 2 weeks in. We went up to Rangeley, Maine, a club called Moose Alley. A wonderful woman owns the club. Perkins is the name of our drummer. He's been with me for 10 years or so, maybe a little less. And he's the guy that always has the coffee made in the morning, has the GPS set, figures out what time we're going to be there. I'm going to vape today. I also got a cup of coffee. Oh man, this is so hard. He was a great guy. Any of you guys that ever been on the road, you already know. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of y'all that have been to my shows, and probably some of you that were going to see the rest of the tour that didn't get to. And anyway, we're up there in Rangeley. We played 2 shows, and then we had a day off. So we left our equipment at the club, and we went back to the Airbnb where we were staying in Rangeley, this beautiful old house. And then in the morning, there was no coffee made. So Brent, the guitar player, our guitar player, we went to the club. My bass player was a substitute bass player. And it's on that subject that I have to do a lot of kind of internal editing here. The bass player. We went down there. The bass player had a couple of drinks already. It was 11, and Perkins wasn't there. So we called Kate back at the Airbnb. She went up and knocked on the door, and he didn't answer. She tried to push this other door open, and she called us, and we sped home, and we found him. I pushed the door in, and I found him dead in bed. And he was 59 years old. Would have been 60 in September. Brent Johnson, my guitar player, he had played with Perkins since he was 17. They were best man at each other's weddings. And then they were in Brian Lee's band for 15 years. And then they had their own band, Brent Johnson and the Call Up, together. And then they joined my band. So Perkins was really the only drummer he had ever professionally worked with or toured with. And we spent hours together in the van, and Brent had spent even more. Brent decided to fly home, and immediately I had to deal with the police, the Airbnb, the club, the manager, booking agent, and we had to make a decision about what we were going to do. God, this is like walking uphill. This is just like walking uphill, like a steep one. And telling the story again. So we called his wife and talked to her. It was hard hearing her reaction, and Lord. So I had to deal with all these people, So I'm on the phone with management and the manager is telling me, listen, I know, Jason, this is absolutely horrible, but in the next 8 or 9 hours, you got to let me know what you're going to do. Are you going to keep going? You're going to keep the tour going? Because if you're not, everybody will understand. But if you are, I need to know. I need to tell the clubs what happened. I need to tell them if you're coming or not, what band you're coming with, if these guys are going home. Because Brent decided he was going home. And so anyway, we went back to the club to load up the gear, including Perkins drums, which was immensely difficult to pack up and put away for the last time, which they were sold, so it wasn't the last time they got played, but the last time they got played by John. I'm on the phone with the manager, telling him, look, I don't know what I want to do. If I do, this is the drummer I think I would hire, blah, blah, blah. And the bass player was just kind of hemming and hawing at me like, like that, drunk. And so, the implication is the implication from this person who's a substitute, who's known John maybe 5 weeks total, 5 weeks, period. The implication is that I don't care about John. That I'm some kind of mercenary. Okay, that's what's being hemmed and hawed, and little noises are making those implications. So the manager calls me again and says, hey, listen, I need an answer, like who's going home, next 6 or 7 hours. Okay, so I go, the bass player's back at the bar. Brent joined him for just one drink, and I went over there, and Brent said, look, I'm going home. I already got my plane ticket. Don't worry about it. I said, I fully just support your decision, of course, and I'm glad that you're taking care of yourself. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think I want to stay out. I don't want to drive 30 hours home with this on my mind, 30 hours straight from Maine to New Orleans. But I haven't made up my mind. And I said, hey, listen, Todd, I know this is fucking crazy right now. Pardon my language. I know this is crazy right now. But if you can, in the next 7 or 8 hours, if you can give me a decision about what you want to do, I support whatever it might be. So he says to me, oh, man, I just have a real problem with the fact that you're looking for a replacement drummer when Perkins is still dead upstairs. So I probably shouldn't be telling you this on Patreon. I guess my only form of recourse is please don't tell anyone. But I wanted to get this out to you guys so that you knew what I was dealing with. So I said, well, look, I'm going to let that go. I'm going to go back to the room. I'm going to take 6 or 7 hours and figure out what I want to do. If you could tell me something tonight, that'd be great. So that's what I did. I brought Brent with me. And 6 or 7 hours later, I got a call from the bar saying, hey, look, you got to come get him. You got to get him out of here. We're closing the bar, and, he's been here. He's mad at you. He's telling everybody. So there's this thing that I've learned to practice over the years in situations like this. It's called broken record. And what you do is you rehearse a line that you like, that isn't offensive. And when you go into a situation where you're dealing with somebody that's maybe having a rough time or is intoxicated, you just repeat the line. So I rehearsed my line, and I went down there because I didn't want to do anything to make the matter worse than it already was by getting mad or yelling and screaming, because I was mad. I was real mad. And anger is a lower emotion, and it's a lot easier to attach to that than grief. And in times of grief and in times of incredible pain, it feels good to get angry because it takes away from having to feel what's really going on. And that's not good. It takes a lot longer to process what's really going on. So I get there. I got my line rehearsed. I walk in the bar. I'm calling out to him. He's not turning around. I get up there and I say, hey, listen, Todd, I said, there's beer at the house. I support anything you want to do, but if you're going to go home, I need a name. And I need a name of the town you're going to go to because he doesn't have an address or a bank account or anything. And I need a birth date so I can book the plane ticket. And he's like, man, I just lost my brother, man. I just lost my brother. And I said, with a straight face, I looked him dead in the eye and I said, I'm sorry for your loss. And I said, but you know what I'm going to need is a date of birth and a town that you want to fly into. And we got beer at the house. Why don't you get in the car? We got to go. The bar called me. We're closing. He says, man, man, I just lost my brother, man. I just lost my brother, man. And, man, like, man, I got a real problem with you, man, wanting to, all this stuff, right? So, like, I said, hey, man, look, we got beer at the house. I said, I just need a town and a date of birth, man. And let's get you home, buddy. And he says, he goes off again. And he says, oh, so you're firing me from the tour? Now, this is when I lost it because it didn't make any sense what he said. I said, you spent all day telling Brent and my wife and me and anybody that would listen at the bar that, you didn't, you thought I was a bad person for even considering continuing the tour. So excuse me for thinking that you didn't want to be here. So we got beer at the house. I need a date of birth and a town that you want to fly into. Once you get in the van, we got to go. Man, I just lost my brother, man. I said, well, you're about to lose your 2 front teeth. And then he was like, hit me, and all that shit. And it just deteriorated, and I didn't return any fire there. After that, I just walked out. I said, look, man, it's a long walk home. So, I got to go. So anyway, he came into my room later that night, started it again. And it's just horrible. And you can tell right now, even right now, this anger emotion is predominant, right? It's easier for me to talk about this than losing Perkins. So why do I do it, right? Why would I just not worry about it, right? Well, I'm telling you, the reason is because this is no good. This kind of anger thing is no good. Now, me and him are good now. We've talked. It wouldn't be good if he saw this video, I'm sure. And this, I don't know how to tell you how I've been Patreon without telling you this part of the story, because this person that this happened with is a very, very dear, loved friend of mine. And to lose another really good friend of mine and then have another friend of mine feel like he was turning on me at the same time. And then, so anyway, we flew him home. It was dramatic, okay? Nicotine. And then me and Kate decided to continue the tour. So we hired this guy. I'm not going to say his name. We hired this guy. And I could have hired a rhythm section. I could have flown Chris Kane in, and I called this band that existed up there in the Northeast, and I saw they were off the road, and I said, hey, look, I could throw together a really good rhythm section and go out and play some blues, but I'd rather have a show. You guys already have a show. Why don't you let me and Kate join your show, learn some of your tunes, and you learn some of mine, rather than me teaching 3 brand new guys all my stuff, or trying to, in a couple of days. He said, I think that's a great idea. Let's do it. So I get to the first gig, and the drummer is my buddy Joey Perfumi, who used to play with Walter Trout, who I had played with before. And I said, hey, Joey. I said, I didn't know you were on this gig. He said, I didn't know I was either. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, this is my first time playing with these guys. So the band I had hired to have a band wasn't a band. So then I find out that there's another drummer, that there's 2 on the tour. So I said, well, I already announced it on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere. So, I might as well just suck it up and get through the gigs and do the best I can. So we do that. The next day we get snowed out of our gig, which was a sold out show in New Hampshire. So it's difficult right now, like when the weather dumps on us and the show gets canceled, it's really hard to not think that maybe God is telling me to go home when the weather cancels one of the shows. But we don't. And the next day we're heading over to Providence, Rhode Island to play Chan's, where I was going to meet somebody from Patreon, which, by the way, bro, I got your package going out pretty soon. I'm sorry. Somebody from Patreon that had flown in from Montana to see the show. So I'm on my way headed to that show. And I get, the bass player says to me, hey, man, I guess you didn't see the text today. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, give me the Cliff Notes. He says, well, look, the guy, the main guy, he said that he can't make the 3 New York dates because he doesn't want to park in New York City. So I said, well, I tried to call him a couple of times, the guy. He didn't answer, and we called from the bass player's phone, and he answered, and I said, put me on the phone with him. I said, hey, man, what's going on? He said, well, listen, I understand you're going through a lot right now. This is an actual quote. But you need to understand what I'm going through when it comes to parking in New York City. And I said, well, we can pick you up and drive you into New York. Parking's not a big deal. Well, I'm just not excited about having to stay in New Jersey and commute every day to New York. I said, well, it's like a 30-minute drive in the daytime and 15 at night. I'll be the one driving in the van. We'll just pick you up at your hotel and drive you there. No, I just don't want to commute. I said, well, I can't afford a room in Manhattan because it's like, $400 or $500 a night. He says, yeah, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I got to take better care of myself. I said, okay. So I told the guys, I said, look, hung up with that guy. Well, I told him, I said, don't bother coming tonight, because I need to rehearse this band without you because we're doing the majority of the shows now without you. So I appreciate you and thank you, but we don't need you anymore. He said, okay. It was reasonable. So we're on our way to the gig, and I'm pep talking the guys. I'm like, look, it's going to be all right. We'll make it through this. Now, keep in mind, what didn't I want to do at the beginning of this? I didn't want to throw together a rhythm section. And now that's exactly what I have. I have 2 different drummers. I have a bass player and a guitar player that don't know my stuff. Okay? And then the bass player says to me, I said, well, look, so I'm giving him a pep talk, and I said, hey, look, we'll get through this. So we got the new drummer tonight, who's also never played with them before. I said, we got the new, and sent me an email telling me that he didn't have time to learn my stuff. So I said, we got the new guy tonight, we'll get through it. And I said, tomorrow I'll be back to Bull Run with Joey Perfumi, the old drummer. And then the bass player says to me, oh, man, look, I guess this probably isn't the best time to tell you this, but there's a 3rd drummer. So 3 drummers for 7 shows, all who they had never played with. So it was at that point, Patreon, that I made the decision. I said, I can't do it. There's only so much I can do. I'm going home. Oh, this is horrible. So me and Kate drive 30 hours home. 30 hours home. And try to start the grieving process, which isn't working because I'm angry. I'm angry at this situation. I'm angry at the bass player situation with the alcohol, which is just people, him anyway. It's just him handling grief differently than I did. And people do. Mal, I know you've been trying to call me. I know you've been trying to talk to me. I've been seeing the +61 on my phone, and it's just I'm not really talking about this right now. That's why I have to make this video to get it out there. And I was waiting for some kind of resolution, some kind of way that I would be able to tell this in a manner that was, conclusive or having some kind of arrival of consciousness that had some sort of closure, that I could wrap this up in a little bow and present it here in a way that maybe had some wisdom that could maybe help somebody. And I don't have that. I still don't have that yet. But I can't wait. This is the first month I've ever missed not putting a Patreon video. I'm going to get it up today, so I'll get one in this month, but there's always 2 months. So if you've just joined here, look, first of all, these are not all this depressing, okay? There's like 60-something more of these things that are usually a lot happier. But this is what we do here. I give you guys the real story of what's going on in my life. And I've told my wife that when I die, I want her to take all these Patreon videos, go over to YouTube and click from unlisted, which means patrons only, and put them public. Just let everybody see everything. This is a diary, and maybe it's a narcissistic diary because, I'm talking about me, but what am I supposed to talk about, right? I mean, I talk about other things too, right? I talk about people. I talk about music. I talk about harmonica. There are lessons here on Patreon, but I think you guys want to know. And honestly, I don't think it's that narcissistic because I don't want to tell you. I don't want to. But I feel like I should. And I feel like you deserve it. And that you come here and you invest time in me. That your lives in and of your own are very valuable, and I have no idea what you are going through. And when you see these videos and you write me and you say, this affected me, Jason, because this is what I'm going through, or I find out that that you're a chart-topping artist. Right? When I find out you're a chart-topping artist, and I'm surprised and I'm humbled that you would listen to me and be interested in this thing, this blues harmonica thing. Or that you flew all the way from Montana to see a show in Rhode Island that got canceled. I want to say thank you. I want to tell you why that show got canceled. Exactly why. I don't want to have some music business post on Facebook like the one I had to make, where I don't get to explain what really happened. Now, I get to tell my personal friends, and look, there are things that I keep for me that don't go on here anywhere. That's good. And maybe this should be one of them. But when you book a plane ticket in a hotel from Montana, when you've written beautiful music and lost friends to addiction, when you've struggled with sexuality, when you've struggled with bipolar disorder, when you've struggled with suicide, when you've been incarcerated, when you struggled with overblows, I want to be the one that says to you, I know what that's like, or that I'm struggling too, and that I'm grateful that you're here with me on Patreon. I'm grateful that you spend time listening to these things. Philippe Jers, probably my favorite harmonica player in the world right now, listens to these sometimes. That's an crazy thought. Then I lost my old AA sponsor, Ed Kern, who I love. I just found out 3 days ago. I can't go to the funeral. Somebody came all the way came to New Orleans, really wanted to see me play, and found out I didn't have a show at Jazz Fest, so they booked a club, rented the whole club out, and booked my band in there so they could have their own private Bad Kind show. That's the day of my buddy's funeral. So I can't go. I gotta be on stage, and I gotta smile, and I gotta give these people a party that they deserve, that they paid for, that they made plans for. And I have to show up for life. And, there's a fine line. Like a lot of you guys, right? You got different opinions, right? Like some of you guys say, just get out there and go. And you're right. You're right. It's good. You gotta just go. You can't wallow in it, right? But then other you guys say, look, man, take as much time as you need. You don't have to make the video. You don't have to do the Free Friday. You don't have to do the gigs. Cancel the gigs. Take as much time. And you're right too. But there's a fine line in this grieving process. There's a fine line between taking care of yourself and giving yourself time to grieve and to mourn and wallowing in your own misery and making it worse. And I don't know where that line is right now. I can't tell. And some days I make the decision to go out and do stuff, and those days are sometimes good, and sometimes they're not. And then other days I make the decision to take care of myself and cancel a student or two and sit down on the couch or go have a cigar and think about things and process things. And sometimes that's the right decision, and sometimes it's not. I can only tell you that things are getting better. They're better. This has been one of the hardest periods of my sobriety in the last 5 years. I'm not in danger right now, but the reason I'm not in danger is because I'm doing things to make sure that I'm not in danger. And that includes trusting God and helping others and being honest. And when I was wrong, admit it. And I've had to admit that I was wrong a couple of times during this because I haven't been perfect. And that's what I wanted to tell you. If you're sitting here thinking that I'm passing judgment on Todd, well, shucks, I might have been. Okay? But here's the thing. Who am I? Who do you think you are to pass judgment on how someone else copes? Used to shoot dope, used to do some lines, used to drink, maybe get angry, maybe check out, maybe go on the road and do a bunch of gigs. Maybe buy something off of Amazon that you can't afford. I want to lean on God. I want to have faith. I want to be everything that God wants me to be. What do I mean by that God thing? I mean higher. Higher, not the lower emotions. Not the me. The higher emotions. Thy will be done, not mine, because I know what mine looks like. I've lived through it by grace alone, meaning I didn't deserve it. Because better people than me didn't make it. So that means that I got to be better. And I'm okay with that today. I'm grateful for that. And I'm trying to be better. But who am I to judge? Who am I to judge how anybody else handles anything? That's it. Right? Let's hear it one more time. Some lines. Not anymore, baby. I do other stupid shit, though. Do other stupid shit. Here we go.
It's who I am. It's who I am. Don't you ever try to
Tread on me. I don't know. Is it who I am?
tread on me.
That's how I act sometimes. Is that who I am? Maybe something better? What do you want from me? Who do you think you are? Right? Right?
What's it gonna be? Who do you think you are?
Right. And what did I say earlier? It's somebody that loves you. That's who they think they are. But if you love somebody, you know. You know. There's a oneness between us. All of us. Some people call it the Akashic resource, the collective consciousness. To hurt me is to hurt you. I'm not my brother's keeper. I am my brother. So I might pass judgment on how I think you're handling something. And that'd be okay because I'm trying to help you. But at the same time, I got to be able to understand where you're at. And if I can't understand where you're at, how can I reach you? Which is one of the things when people reach out to me and they say, I'm doing terrible, I'm doing horrible, I say, that's okay. You're not doing horrible. You're doing the best you can. Zach Cohen, I'm glad you lived through it. You got my number. If you ever feel like you want to live through it again, well, why don't you call me so you don't have to? Or somebody else. Man, is this going to be attempt number 5 at posting this video? Or 4, whatever it is? Am I going to scrap this? Or am I going to just be brave and post this? To get by. To get by.
I need your love. I wanna die. I wanna die right by your side.
I felt like that. Her name was Charlotte. French girl.
What do you want from me? Who do you think you are? What's it gonna be? Who do you think you are? It's who I am. It's what I am. This is my life. This is my life.
Right here. Right here. Right here on Patreon.
It's my life. Oh, what do you want from me?
Who do you think you are?
What's it gonna be?
Who do you think you are?
What do you
Zach Cohen, I'm happy to report to you and everybody else today that I want to live. I want to live. I want to feel. I want to feel all of this. And I want to know that it's okay to feel. It's okay to feel today. Wherever you are right now, whoever you are watching this, I want you to know it's okay to feel. And how you cope, far be it from me to judge. But if that's not working for you right now and you need help, call somebody. Reach out. It doesn't have to be me. What a beautiful song. So poignant for this. So I think we know what we're going to call episode 60 something of Patreon vlogs is how I cope. How I cope. I could be practicing. I'm not. Not even doing my 5 minutes. I'm playing a lot right now. I'm taking today off. This is it. I wanted to get this out of the way. I can't enjoy today knowing that I didn't turn in a video for the month of April. And I wanted to let you guys know the real story of how I'm coping, which is as best I can right now. It's as best I can. I know you get older, people die, right? It happens. You know, you move on. And that's what I plan to do. I plan to keep going, okay? I'm not pulling out. I'm not canceling tours. We got another drummer coming in. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll find out. I'm going on tour. Coming to Europe. Going to see you, Melanie. Working on Italy, Germany, Austria, Belgium. Okay, everywhere but England, you know. Gonna go out there and do it, you know. But now you know when you see me, you know what I'm dealing with. Anyway, love you all. Please check out the Red Rum Society. My boy Zach Cohen right here. Forgot your screen name, bro. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Appreciate you. Thank you.